Hey everybody, what's up? So, I finished watching a movie, kind of an interesting one called Hatchet. It is kind of like a slasher horror comedy thing. One of the things is slasher movies aren't really my thing. I'm not normally a big fan of them. But Vampyre Mike of Sega CD Universe had actually talked about one of the movies in this series called Victor Crawley. And I'm like, okay, I want to know more about this. So I kind of did some digging into the movies. And I went on to Netflix, rented a copy of the first movie, and I gotta say, I actually liked it. It's very rare for me to like one of them. It's basically, this is what gets me, is to know that they wanted to do more with this movie. Um, it really is set up from a storytelling perspective for most of the movie. With Crowley, you don't get to see him a lot. And the basis of the first movie is that these two college buddies, Marcus and Ben, go down with another group of guys to New Orleans, during Mardi Gras to have some fun because Ben's ex of 8 years dumped him for another guy. So they take him down there, hoping to get his mind off of her. It doesn't really work. So Ben's talking to Marcus about this haunted boat tour. And they go to this guy, Dr. Voodoo. The funny thing is he's played by the guy who played Candyman. And it's just funny because he builds up this suspense. And this is where you see the comedy shining through. He's talking about why he doesn't do the boat tours anymore. And he's standing there, he's telling them about leading them up to this climatic story. And it's one of those things you have to watch, because it doesn't do it justice just to talk about it. So they go into this other shop to do to do this boat tour. It's like a voodoo shop. And you're introduced to three more characters. Two aspiring actresses, and they're this producer and the tour guide. The tour guide, sounds native, all this other stuff. He kind of questioned him though after a while, because there's stuff like he keeps like referring to notes on that. So you wonder if something is up with him. And you also meet Mary Beth and this older couple who are going on this tour. They want a little bit of excitement. At one point, the producer goes, "Have you ever heard of Bayou Beavers?" And the husband goes, "Yes," and the wife goes, "No." And he goes, "No." Like, classic. Because they seem like this religious type. Not like overly, but yeah. And so they're getting the boat and to do this tour. This guy's yelling at them. They're like, "What's he yelling? Oh, don't worry. He's a local and he drinks his own piss." Like I said, you have to see some of the stuff to believe it. And they go out on the water, and the tour guide is saying all this stuff. And at one point, Mary Beth goes, "Oh, that's not the true story of Victor Crawley." And they end up near Crowley's house. So right away, you kind of get this idea of what's starting to happen. Mary Beth is there because she's looking for her father and brother who disappeared. I'm not going to spoil a lot of the stuff in the movie because there's parts of it that lead into the story. And you kind of get this glimpse here and there idea of what's going on, but not really. And that's what I like. They don't show Crowley right away until you actually see him, in all his full-blown glory, the brain fart watching the cat. And eventually Mary Beth tells the real story of Victor Crawley, what happened to him in his life. And in a way, I hate to say this, I know he's this murdering demon, whatever type thing. Victor basically was bullied. He was getting harassed by some kids. He burned to death. And so, I actually, other than the murderous, rampaging creature, I felt sorry for the guy. He basically was disfigured. His father had to take care of him. And his dad died 10 years after his son did. But there's still this question of, well, why is Victor back from the dead? What's going on? And what I loved were the over-the-top kill scenes. Like one point, one person has their head ripped back. Like Carly's got their hand in their mouth like this. He just pulls the head all the way back. It reminds me of the really corny Japanese schlock horror movies where the deaths are so unnatural and there's so much blood in that. I find it hilarious. And I kind of admit that one I was laughing at. And they do create a lot of humor. The thing that I liked is they didn't turn it into a stereotypical horror movie because Ben's buddy Marcus didn't die as being the first victim. If you know your horror movie genres, you know what I'm talking about. And so, yeah, it's just a great movie. The deaths, like I said, were over the top. One of the inspiring actresses was a complete and utter dingbat. My favorite deal was, "Are you sure 911 is the number to call for help? I'm not good with area codes," something like that. Now, she's talking about area codes, and they're going, "It's 911. And she goes, "I'm going to call the..." she's talking about all this stuff, and you're sitting there going, "Oh my God." And she's a typical airheaded blonde. That's the only way I can describe it. It really is. But it's set up in a way with the way the movie ends, and I don't want to spoil that. But it's set up in a way where they wanted to keep this franchise going just from what you see alone at the end. And I'm probably gonna wait one movie in my queue, one or two, before I get the second one. I'd like to space stuff out. I don't like to watch marathons. But overall, yeah, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it, because this was one of the rare slasher movies that I've actually liked. The Japanese schlock stuff is corny funny, but Hatchet really does give you a sense of what they are aiming for and how they achieved it, because it does take a lot of elements of typical slasher movies, and there's so much stuff in it. It's hilarious, is all I can say. But it is gruesome, so you have to take one over the other, maybe take both. That's it, everybody. I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.